Hello everybody and welcome to a rather different video. So I have decided that I do enjoy my Cities Skylines a lot and it was time to upgrade my PC. So I've got a video coming about the upgrade, which is more down the techie side, but this was really just to show you a little bit of the actual changes, or what I hoped would be quite substantial changes in the game. So before I started the upgrade, I had my Intel i5 with 16 gigs worth of RAM running at 266 megahertz, which I purchased in 2017. Everything was running on SSD, so it should be nice and smooth, etc, etc. Anyway, when you get to a city, and this one here which I'm playing is Rowaninski, it's got about 126,000 sims in it. It's quite a large city. I was experiencing quite a lot of jerkiness during the game, especially when sort of playing it out, and you can see that in some of the latter kind of Rowaninski videos that I've done. So what I decided to do was I took a city-wide pan or cinematic camera across it, which is about 35 minutes in length, because I did it and I'm running it at 1/16 of that speed, mainly because if you run it at the high speed you get fairly good frame rates through it, and it completes quite quickly, but if you do it at this kind of 1/16 it makes the CPUs really push. So I'm using the same graphics card as well. I'm using the Nvidia 2060 Super. Now when I first bought that I had a standard 1080p monitor, and that's what the game was in, and that's what I was recording a lot of Rowaninski videos, particularly the first probably 30 of them are all done in 1080p. I since changed to a slightly different monitor. It's like a 21:9. It actually puts out at 3440 by 1440, so it's kind of 4K? It's somewhere, it's a bit of a weird resolution. Anyway, so that's probably putting additional stress. The stuff you can see here is all recorded in this 1344 by 1440 resolution. And on the left hand side of the screen you can see the actual footage that I did. Now for some strange reason the time is accelerated on this, so I must have made a slight change in the beautification mod to speed up night and day, or make day longer and night shorter. And as you see, sun will rise quicker. So the left hand side is showing the Intel i5, I think it's the 7400 model. I think it runs at 3.5 and it boosts to 4 gigahertz. And you can probably see it's actually working a little bit more jerky compared to my new AMD 3950. Of course there's a big difference. The i5 had 4 cores, the AMD has 16 cores. I've now got 32 gigs of RAM, which is running at the 3200 megahertz speed, so it is a lot faster. Game load speed, weirdly, doesn't seem to have made a lot of difference in time. It is still, running at about 4 minutes to load this city with all the mods and assets that I have in there. But that's just what happens. I mean, I would expect that when I play the game mods and all the assets in there, that you can see that it's actually still larger than my 32 gigs of RAM that I've got in there. So possibly boosting it by another 32 would make this much quicker at loading out, because you'll be able to put it all into memory rather than having to swap it out. So as you can see, hopefully you'll be able to see, if you've got it on a big screen, the left hand side is now split into thirds. You've got the left hand side is showing the Intel playing, the middle section is showing the AMD 3950, but the everything is set to high at this level. And then on the far right hand side I've actually got the detail level set to very high, mainly because I recorded the very high version of it and I thought actually there's not such a big difference in the kind of jitteriness. It still seems to buffer around and jitter about. It's not as smooth as I was expecting the jump to be. So this potentially leads me down to the fact that the graphics card, even though it's a relatively new one, the 2060 Super, I possibly need to actually have something like a 2080 Ti. I don't know. People may be able to tell me out there that yes, if you had a 2080 Ti, then you would have a buttery smooth experience up to 200,000 sims. I mean, I can tell you, in the Intel i5, when I was playing the game with this amount of sims in it, I was hitting about 100% CPU all the time. Now with the 3950, I would probably say I'm only running at about 55. I've not actually looked at the stats, but my Aurora system, I've got it set at the moment to show how much CPU is being used, is showing it is actually in the greeny yellow stage, so it's probably not too high in overall kind of performance hits kind of thing. So I'd expect it to be smooth. The other noticeable difference I'd like to point out actually is that on the actual Intel I did drop down the depth of field, but on the 3950 I left it as the game defaults because I basically rebuilt the OS. I've brought the game on, I've installed all the assets, etc., but I've just left the actual settings the same as defaults. Now on the i5 I did tweak those a little bit to try to up the performance of the system. So hopefully you'll be able to see, and I'm going to let you watch the rest of the video out, the rest of the City Rowaninski as it pans through the environment. It will go through my area where I've got the industries, basically milling materials, etc., etc., and the other two areas on the AMD will brighten up over time. But hopefully we can now see the difference between, especially I'd be interested to see the difference between high and very high. At the moment as I'm recording this, I'm watching it on a small screen in Adobe Premiere, but I will want to play this back on a 4K TV. Now I'll be able to see the difference between high detail and very high detail, and hopefully I'll be able to see a little bit more of how well the overall smoothness of the game relays. I mean, I have seen the frame rates, and I'm annoyed actually that even though I'm capturing the stuff using the Nvidia GeForce Experience capturing video tool, that the FPS is not shown. It's shown when you're, kind of watching it recording, but actually afterwards I was hoping to be able to sort of actually show you the frame rates that are occurring. And in some sections it does drop down to as low as 9 frames per second. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to let you watch the rest of the stuff, and hopefully with some relatively groovy music as well. if you have managed to make it all the way through this video to about 24 minutes in, then I'm assuming you've probably come up with a similar conclusion to me. The actual processing power doesn't really need to be quite as huge as my 3950X, although 3950X is extremely good when doing things like processing video. I mean, it's changed from 4K from being like 2 hours to render down to 20 minutes, so it is quite a significant change. And apologies for the footage slowly goes out of sync, but I guess that's where frames are dropped due to a bit of stuttering here and there, but it's fairly accurate. Now also for the detail level, I cannot tell a huge amount of difference between high and very high. So probably for my future gaming, I am not going to use very high, I'm just going to use high. Ultimately, I think my performance of my system is stumbling on the graphics card. Now, I got my graphics card only late 2019, so I'm certainly not going to be updating it. This YouTube channel at the moment has only 1 subscriber, so I shan't be using any funds from that to upgrade it to a 2080 Ti or whatever else is announced this year, like a 3000 series perhaps. So just to recap, I don't actually think the CPU in this particular game causes a huge amount of issue. The big difference is obviously is that the CPU demands are reduced with the new 3950, mainly because it's got 4 times the amount of cores than the original Intel i5. So it does look to me very much that it is down to the graphics card. And just a little side note, although the actual game says you need a dedicated graphics card, I did manage to play this on the original i5 with the built-in, whatever that is, Intel graphics card on it, graphics unit, GPU, whatever they want to call that, on the original i5, and the game played reasonably well. It's just I was playing the game more and more, and I wanted something much better, hence the 2060 was purchased. So I hope you've managed to get this far. It is a long video, it's a big pan across the city, it's quite slow, but I was hoping to show you the differences between the Intel and the AMD. I think ultimately this is going to turn out to be one of those ones which is, it's a graphics card related issue, you need a better graphics card. If that's correct, then well, I'm going to have to save my little pennies to get one. So please do check out my other videos. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you would like to see other videos by me, hit the like, please do share, please add comments, I'd love to know your feedback about the graphics card question that I have, should I upgrade? So once again, thanks for watching, I hope to see you again soon, goodbye for now.